products. But Pella windows and doors are also affordable, extremely affordable. Pella has payment plans less than $95 a month to replace your windows. So I suggest you purchase your windows and doors from the experts at Pella of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a blustery, cold day in January. Welcome in. Let me in particular welcome a good friend of mine who's watching today up in Somerset, Kentucky, Burton Sampson, to a show that we're going to get right to it. I'm going to dispense with much more than saying hello to Kelly Holcomb. Bring him up there. Hello, Kelly.
Hello, George.
Billy, hello to you as well.
Hello, George.
Now, as most of you know, the Titans did today what has been rumored now for a while, and that is Amy Strunk fired the general manager, Ran Carthon, who got out of the witness protection program long enough to get the axe. Terry McCormick joins us, even though we thought yesterday was his final daily Titans update. Terry, best as I can tell in my investigating of this, Ran Carthon maybe knew this was coming, didn't he?
Yeah, I've been hearing whispers about this. You've seen a couple of speculation from national people, and somebody that I talked to on Sunday said that his spot might not be as secure as some would think after just 2 years. And certainly the other shoe dropped this morning.
I made the comment yesterday on the air that I had little or no confidence that with the first pick in the draft that he would take and make the very best situation out of this, because you can really leverage the number one pick, whether you personally pick somebody or trade down to get more. I just didn't have a lot of confidence in him. I've made fun of the whole witness protection program thing, but the truth of it is he didn't get much done.
Well, he didn't get long enough of a time to get a whole lot done, George, other than, he did spend a lot in free agency this last offseason to help replenish a roster that was pretty threadbare from draft misses from 2020 through 2022. He had a few good picks. I don't know if any of them are home runs, but certainly J.C. Latham, Devondre Sweat, Jarvis Brownlee from this year's draft have potential to be long-term starters for this team. But, there are not a lot of game changers that he brought in. If there's a shortcoming to his draft classes, I would have to say that that's it, that he's brought in some solid players, but there have not really been guys who wow you, guys who change the game for you. Maybe he was hoping that Will Levis could have been that guy, but so far that hasn't been the case, except just on rare occasions.
So now we turn, according to all of this, to this guy, Chad Brinker, who supposedly will be in charge of this search. Is he likely to name himself the GM?
No, I think he's going to have final say, which is what the things that are coming out of the Titans building, the statements that they're making are saying. He's going to head up the GM search. He's going to make this hire. And then from my understanding, this thing will have the GM answering to him as well as Brian Callahan answering to him. So if you want to go back and look at it that way, it'll be a Floyd Reese and Jeff Fisher answering to Jeff Diamond type situation.
Okay. So there'll be a lot of candidates that will be brought forth in the next few days. I believe that not only was Floyd Reese the best general manager that the Tennessee Titans have had, but he was also the most accessible. And I believe in Nashville, Tennessee, that's still important. I don't think Rand Carthon's hiding act went over real well. So let's toss one out there.
All right, go ahead.
The guy is achieving great things with the Kansas City Chiefs in their scouting department. He's got Nashville ties. He lives here. Pat Sperduto is a guy that, to me, checks all the boxes that she put out there. Not that I think she knows what the hell she's looking for. I don't think she knows. But of the things that got put out there, Pat Sperduto fits all of them.
Absolutely, he does. I think Pat's been a guy he's a football lifer, if that's what you want to call him. He's worked in places that a lot of people haven't. Like, he was in the Arena Football League, where you have to grind it out, and you're not only head coach, but you're general manager, you're trainer, you're pretty much everything that goes on at that level of football. And when you succeed there, and when you cut your teeth there, and then the scouting department with the Titans when the Cats were on hiatus, before he joined the Chiefs organization, he was a guy who, put in the long hours, grinded it out, learned the craft, and certainly has had a big hand in the drafts that the Chiefs have had over the years. He's been there since 2009, George. So he's had a hand in drafting Patrick Mahomes, Eric Berry, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, L'Jarius Sneed, Chris Jones, and the list goes on and on and on up through this year's draft. He now has worked up his way up to be the college scouting director for the Chiefs. So there's a rung in between him. There's an assistant general manager and then there's the general manager. So he's probably like third on the rung there, but certainly a guy who has paid his dues, and certainly a guy that has past ties to the Titans and Bud Adams. Amy Adams-Strunk and Chad Brinker would be doing themselves a disservice if they didn't at least make a phone call and bring him into the building to talk to him.
Absolutely. He's got to be interviewed. Okay, last thing from me, and then I'll turn it over to Kelly and Billy with some stuff. So now she is becoming a little bit of she's got the hatchet out every time you turn around. She's fired John Robinson. She's fired Mike Mularkey. She's fired Mike Vrabel. She's fired Ken Wisenhunt. She's fired Rand Carthon. Who is in her ear? Because from what I know about Amy Adams-Strunk, her first love in sports was horses. That's what John McClain used to tell me, that it didn't sound like football was a particular priority to her. Who's chirping in her ear?
Well, it apparently is not a particular strong suit of hers either when it comes to the last few years. But I don't know. I think it's different people, because I think, what you've seen transpire over the course of her ownership was that, she inherited Ken Wisenhunt and I think it was Rustin Webster. And she fired them. And when she fired Wisenhunt, and she brought in Mike Mularkey as the interim coach, she took a liking to Mularkey. She made sure that John Robinson took the general manager's job on the stipulation that he would keep Mularkey. Then after a couple of years, Robinson got her ear and told her that they could only get so far with Mularkey, or supposedly that's what the talk was.
Right.
And so Mularkey was let go. Mike Vrabel was brought in. Then after the trade of A.J. Brown, she got sideways with Robinson, especially when Philadelphia and Brown beat the dog stuffing out of them up there in a December game in 2022. Robinson was shown the door 2 days later, and Vrabel, was kind of in charge. Rand Carthon was brought in as the GM. She wanted them to work together. That didn't work out. Vrabel apparently wanted more say. She sided with Carthon. Vrabel was out the door. And then now she brought in Brian Callahan and Chad Brinker. And Carthon is out the door. George, I'll just say it this way.
It's a loony bin.
If I'm Brian Callahan and I'm looking back through this track record, I don't want any part of trying to develop a rookie quarterback and see this team win 3 or 4 games again next year if that guy struggles, and that's going to get me fired. I'm going to go say, let's go spend the money on Sam Darnold so I can save my job.
Kelly?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Terry. And we had a caller yesterday, Eric called in, and he was talking about everybody's got opinions about this. We all know that. It's huge in the area, and everybody's got opinions. But if you're going to fire one of them, do you think Brian Callahan was on the chopping block as well? Because Eric brought up, if you're going to keep both of them, keep both of them. If you're going to fire one of them, fire both of them. So what do you think, he was on the chopping block or no?
Apparently he was safe, but I'm kind of in that agreement too. If you're going to get rid of one, get rid of everybody and start over, because having the number 1 pick would be the perfect time to restart and hit the reset button if that's what you want to do. But this constant firing somebody at the end of each season when things don't go the way you want it, all that leads to is more dysfunction and more people taking sides inside the building and wondering what they need to do to cover their own rear end.
There's a lot of backstabbing going on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you think that'll be hard? Like, normally GMs are the ones that are huge into these coaching moves. Now, she's got a coach, but now do you think that would be, because you just saw what happened to Rand Carthon, so that probably doesn't give a lot of guys much trust. If you're a GM, do you take that job because you've already got Brian Callahan and the other guy just stayed here for 2 years? Like, how hard is that going to be for them to get a new GM in here like that?
Oh, it absolutely is probably going to cost them a good candidate or two because they see the 3-ring circus that this thing has become. Why would you want to be a part of that when you're probably getting fired in 2 years if you can't fix it? I mean, this borders on some of the lunacy that, like how George Steinbrenner would recycle managers in the 80s with the Yankees, where he would fire Billy Martin and then he would hire Gene Michael and then he would fire him and hire Bob Lemon, then rehire Billy Martin. About the only thing Amy Adams Strunk hasn't done is bring in somebody for a second go around. But who knows? Vrabel's still out there to be had.
Are you? I just thought about that when y'all were talking about that earlier. I said, I wonder if she would bring in Mike Vrabel to be the GM.
She's already paying him. Why not?
I know, but y'all brought up Pat Perduto, which is huge right there. He's done a lot for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's head of scouting. Is he not head of scouting department out there? Yeah, and he's accomplished so much in bringing those folks in. I think he would be a top candidate. Who are you hearing? Like George brought up somebody this morning, Louis Riddick, which I think would be pretty good too. He's well versed and he understands how to use the media. But are you hearing? I know it's going to be all the same candidates probably, but what names are you hearing, Terry?
It's early, but the names that are being thrown around, not necessarily for the Titans job, but just in this hiring cycle, because there are multiple GM jobs open. One of the names is Ray Agnew, who is the assistant GM of the Lions. They certainly have done a nice job of building things there. Ryan Grigson, who works, former Colts GM. You may be familiar with him.
I know who he is, but I wasn't familiar with him. But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And he has had a hand in helping to rebuild the Vikings. Thomas Dimitroff, the former Falcons general manager. The question there becomes, though, with a guy like Dimitroff, who's been used to having control, would he be willing to come into a situation where he's answering to Chad Brinker as opposed to having the say over the roster and the final control over this team? That's going to be the other question you get into, aside from the dysfunction question.
Terry, are you surprised that Rand Carthon was fired before special teams coordinator Colt Anderson?
Yes. I mean,
that's one of the more ironic things in this.
In fairness to Colt Anderson, his units did get a little better. They went from abysmal to mediocre by the end of the year. I don't know if that's enough to keep your job. And Brian Callahan
went from the Hindenburg to Chernobyl.
Yes. And so Brian Callahan is going to, take a look at the coaching staff to see what kind of changes he wants to make there. those are probably, will start to trickle out in the next few days. But the fact that Colt Anderson outlasted Rand Carthon, if you had that on your bingo card, congratulations, because I did not.
Okay, Terry, keep us updated. Obviously, we're going to hear about a bunch of different candidates, but I'm glad we got the Pat Sperduto name out there. He needs to be interviewed for this job. Number one, they need a GM who knows what he's doing. And secondly, they need one who has the answer to hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
To come out of the witness protection program. Speak to people.
Let people know who you are.
Absolutely. Terry, thank you as always.
All right, have a good one.
Billy, you have a minute and a half for this update. No more. Go.
It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Trade rumors with Tyreek Hill. Apparently, the Dolphins GM came out and said that Hill didn't ask for a trade in the meeting, but he said in a presser that he wanted out, basically. So Tyreek Hill wants out of Miami. Not sure that comes as a surprise. Also, the Raiders have fired Antonio Pierce after just one season. So
have they?
Yes. So they finished 4-13. The Raiders also looking for a new head coach. A lot of good SEC basketball tonight. Vanderbilt hosting Mississippi State at 8 o'clock. You can hear it on this station. You can watch it on ESPNU. Mississippi State is now a 3.5-point favorite. Vanderbilt opened as a 1.5-point favorite. Now it's switched all the way back to Mississippi State. At 6, Tennessee at Florida. Get into that with Tony coming up. You can watch that on ESPN2. Kentucky is at Georgia as well, and the Preds are in Winnipeg tonight to play the Jets.
Okay, that was well done. We're going to open the phones at 4:20. And I want to repeat that because I know a lot of people are going to want to get in and give us your opinions. I want to talk to Tony Basilio. The last time we talked to him, Tennessee fans were stealing the Ohio State code and buying tickets by the boatload. Tony Basilio, his first appearance in 2025 is next, even though I can't say it, on 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com. 7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Hey, it's Jake Lyman. Vandy women's basketball is on the road for the first time in SEC play, facing Ole Miss in Oxford on Thursday night. I'll have the call pregame at 6:15.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, this will be our first visit of 2025 with Knoxville sports talk show host extraordinaire Tony Basilio, who looks like he's ready for winter. And we're going to talk dysfunction because Tony saw kind of this same stuff at Tennessee for a lengthy period.
Oh, man.
Now the Titans are experiencing. What do you think's the common denominator to this kind of stuff?
You got to have people, George. You got to have people. And you got to have the right people in place, and you better listen to the right people. Because if you get the wrong people, you're in big trouble. And then if you get the power people that want to have more power and influence than they want to have, George, you're in big time trouble. And so all that adds up to, from my humble opinion, a complete and total mess if you're not careful.
You know, it's hard to believe, given Tennessee's level of success in recent years, it was not that long ago that it took basically 6 approaches before a Derek Dooley said, yes, I'll take your job.
Well, Dooley, the way he tells the story is he thought when they reached out to him, he thought they were kidding. Because, why would you hire that guy? The other side of that is the guy who was at the helm here all those times is the guy that's done so much with the Cleveland Browns situation, Jimmy Haslam. He's good at it. So the point is you better have the right people. And you better listen to the right people, because when you don't, you're in big trouble. Bad leadership, man. Bad leadership in any of these gigs. When your last guest, George, is on here bringing up Stick Michael and George Steinbrenner and Billy Martin.
He missed out on Art Fowler.
Well, you know what? There's one small difference. That guy won a couple World Series.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's one thing to do that. Hey, it's one thing to do that when you're in the span of going to the World Series a few times in a row.
The other
first in drafts,
Tony. The other thing that has really gotten people is this whole we don't talk at all. We issue press releases. Today, Burke Nihill, who I know more football than Burke Nihill does, is the one explaining to the masses on TennesseeTitans.com why this was done. Either let's hear it from her or let's not hear it at all. But don't give me this team president, the guy that is gouging people with this PSL plan of his.
Well, you said it, I didn't. And
yes, I did.
The thing is, George, the bad organizations generally are bad communicators as well. Because when you're bad at everything. You're going to be bad at PR, be bad at picking your coaches, going to be bad at picking your general managers. It's funny at Tennessee, University of Tennessee, they got some good leadership in place. And all the rest of that stuff, George, just comes with it. They're adept in PR. They've handled some real tough situations here. And they've handled them professionally. And they're very good at their spin and what they want to say publicly and how they want to say what they want to say. George, us people that do what we do, all we want to do is be able to articulate a voice to the people we serve. And when you get ignored, a bad organization lets people like you fill in the vacuum. I would want to fill the vacuum myself if I had a message that I wanted to share. Now, if I didn't have a message I wanted to share, I'd stay silent. That's just me.
So we have not talked to you since the Tennessee-Ohio State football game. And obviously it didn't turn out the way they wanted. And we now kind of feel like Ohio State's on such a run that they're the favorite to win it all. What do you think Josh Heupel learned for the future of Tennessee football about the experience in Columbus?
I don't know. It'd be a great question to ask him. I think, George, at the end of the day, Tennessee saw the top of the mountaintop, and they're nowhere near that. Because that Ohio State team, that's top of the mountaintop stuff now. And then you get them on their home field, and then you get them motivated. And, there's Kelly's guy, the would-be MTSU coach. You're putting him up on the screen right now. He got pantsed in that game, Tennessee's defensive coordinator, but he's not the only one, because another guy with SEC ties in the Oregon game got pantsed as well. And so, at the end of the day, a guy off the Nick Saban tree got pantsed for Oregon. Look, Ohio State's got a great football team. I do think it's interesting that there's not much chatter around Tennessee's program regarding coaching changes. I'll be curious to see if Josh Heupel makes any. If he does, George, it'll be the first time in his close to a decade as a head coach that he's made a coaching change.
That's weird.
That's very interesting. So Adam Sparks put it out, I guess yesterday, this morning, whatever, about Banks. And I guess he's not under contract.
No.
Here effective, I don't know if it's right now or in a couple of weeks. What is that situation?
Backstory is that Tim Banks went to Tennessee in the offseason and wanted a lengthy and lucrative contract. And the head coach was okay with giving it to him. Danny White, the athletic director here, said, "No way, Jose." I think Danny White made the right decision personally. I find Tim Banks to be mid. You saw what he did in their big games this year. They got ripped apart. No offense to him. And he's not a great recruiter. Look, all I know when somebody asks me my opinion on something is to give you an honest answer. Last year when Kelly was asking me about him for the MTSU job, I said, man, he'd be great to have if you didn't want a head coach, you didn't want to recruit. He's your guy. I mean, at this level, you should be able to recruit. And you should want to recruit. You should be a voracious recruiter, unless you're an X's and O's savant and you're ahead of everybody else. And this guy's not. He's just not that. So in my mind, he's highly replaceable and not worth chasing for Tennessee. He's been involved with Clemson. He's been involved with the Miami situation. Probably if a couple others come up, he'll get involved there. I don't know where he's going. I have no idea. Does he come back here? I don't know. Are they going to fight for him? I mean, they didn't. Adam's right. They did not fight for him in the offseason. They didn't step up in the offseason.
Okay, Kelly, when you get through, then I'm going to ask him about what ought to be an unbelievable game tonight in Gainesville between Tennessee and Florida. But take it wherever you want to go.
And Antonio, how you doing, man? How was your holiday season? Good.
Boys, I tell you what, guys, I'm glad it's over. Thank God for 2025.
Well, you just talked about recruiting, and in my experiences here of late with this transfer stuff, I don't think any of these guys know how to recruit anymore. I think they do it all off the internet. All you have to do is get a kid to get a scholarship offer, and then everybody else is going to give him a scholarship offer. They're like, we can't miss on him. They're getting it. I don't think anybody recruits anymore. And me personally, and I'm kind of venting here to you, but I don't think anybody knows what they want anymore, especially at the quarterback position. They have no clue what they want. They just want guys run around. I don't have to teach him, hey, throw it to this guy. If he's not open, just run around. That's my opinion.
Oh, I think you're right. I think these guys are like, first of all, it's follow the leader when it comes to recruiting. The other thing is, like, Tennessee had this kid from Northwestern. I was talking about it on my daily show today. They had a kid who's a guard committed. Now they're involved with a guy from USC, but the guy from USC is also involved with Oregon, and he's involved with SMU. And these guys are going to go to whoever money whips them. So this kid from Northwestern that they had, he came here in second and a half week in December, like the 18th, 17th, something like that. He tells Tennessee, hey, look, I'm committing to you on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, okay. Christmas Eve comes, they don't see a commitment from him. Merry Christmas. Because one of the people from, like, I think it was On 3, reported that he was getting ready to commit to Tennessee. LSU and Ole Miss both called him, Kelly. Both said, hey, wait, give us 20 minutes. Hey, he gave them 20 minutes, as that they saying in the news business, and they gave him the world. LSU turned around and put a bag on him. And that's what we're at. He told Tennessee's coaches, I'm coming. They money whipped him. And now, you know, you're Tennessee, you're sitting on that. Tennessee got a commitment today out of a kid who's played down at Chattanooga in high school, two-sport athlete, went to Alabama last year, wide receiver, Amari Jefferson. Look, here's the thing. Is a guy like that going to help you right away? I don't know, but they do need help immediately at wide receiver. So there's a help wanted sign in several positions. And so far in the portal, they've been tepid. They've been tepid so far. They're a level of folks are pulling out of the portal at this point.
How have they gotten, like, I know Brew McCoy got hurt. I know the other guy, they got the kid from Tulane that came in that did kind of good, but like from the Hendon Hooker days when they had everybody run, they had guys that could run. What has happened to that, Tony? Like, I think Josh Heupel, and I said it last year, he runs the ball more than most people think he does, but still he's kind of known for, hey, you know, let's have this freewheeling offense. Let's throw it all over the place. And for some reason, it's just like at Georgia, man. I'm sorry, but I'm a quarterback. But like, can't you get something better as a backup? And I know that was his first. I know that was his first start, and it was a big game. But come on, man. Like, why can we not get? Why can you not get some receivers at the University of Tennessee?
Chicken and the egg. You know, is it player development? Is it their player evals?
Yeah.
Is it a combination of the two? Whatever it is, Tennessee this year ran 5 wide in the portal. And if Matthews would have stayed, it would have been 6 wide receivers in the portal. I don't think you want to run 5 wide in the portal. I don't think that's a good sign. And few of those guys were multi-year guys. It wasn't like, hey, I'm a freshman and I came here, and like this kid from Alabama, I see I'm not going to play here. I got to get out of here. This system's not for me. These are guys been here 2 or 3 years, some of them. Transferring out, which means I didn't develop you. That's what that means. I didn't reach you, or I was misevaluated out of high school. Either way, that's not good. You know, Tennessee is still chasing the high of the heights that they reached. Tennessee reached with Jeremy Pruitt's football players on offense.
That's a big statement there, brother.
Well, it's the truth. I didn't do it. I mean, it's the truth. Hendon Hooker was inherited. Those wide receivers were inherited. No, look, they developed them. And they get credit for that. You get credit for that. You know, because a lot of coaches will discard whoever's there and say, it wasn't my idea. No, he took those guys and won with them. It looks to me like Jeremy Pruitt, to this point, is having an issue with evaluating guys offensively. Doesn't make any sense. Look, they had a winner to look at, Hendon Hooker, and they went out and got Joe Milton in the spring. Rush him into school.
He's the Titans' best friend.
No doubt about that.
He played
They
the
looked
game
at
of
that
his
Mayo
life.
guy and they said, "We were waiting for you to win all year, and you go out and do that to us? You're fired."
Gone."
Yeah.
So I know you talked about it a little bit, but how's free agency going with the UT? Are they getting some guys in?
No,
No.
it's not going. No.
Really?
But the issue with the portal, though, Kelly, and you know this as well as anybody, is there are more problems in the portal than not. And these teams that think they're getting answers out of the portal, a lot of times are getting more headaches than they're worth. And so the way something like Florida State fans are crowing because they got Squirrel White. You and I both know Squirrel White's going to play like half the games down there. Half time's going to be hurt. He's going to drop balls. I mean, no offense to him, but if his name wasn't Squirrel White, nobody would know his name. He's all right, right? I mean, he's okay. But they think they signed a star wide receiver because they got Squirrel White, and that's fine. But that's the nature of the transfer portal and where we are right now.
Yeah, they thought they signed a star quarterback last year, but that didn't work out too well for them.
That's right, because you have to develop your own players.
Correct.
That's what we're back to, and it's hard. That's a hard thing to do, man.
What I was thinking when we came on, and this just came up to me, but here's the deal. Do you like the way that the playoff system is right now? I'm sure they're going to have to go back in. Yeah. I'm sure they're going to have to go back in and kind of tweak it a little bit. But I'll be honest with you, and I'm obviously not like you. This is my opinion, but like I've become, yeah. So I'm finished with college football. I'm ready to move on to the pro stuff now. That's kind of the way I am. I don't know if other people think that way. Maybe you don't, but that's like all this that's going on. That first weekend was awful. I didn't like it, and I guess I like the small teams getting an opportunity. I really do. I like the SMU getting an opportunity. I like Arizona State, who played Texas really well, but like there was no competition, and I just.
Well, the first round was bad, but the games since then have been very good. The games in the last round were very good.
I'm ready to move on. I guess it's me. I'm being bitter about it, but I'm ready to move on. This is time for the NFL. Let's go.
You're Mr. Grinch about 3 weeks too late.
Well, you know, I think it goes back to what Billy told me about you, which is you've got a limited attention span. So Billy said the thing about Kelly after a little while limited right now. Away. Yeah, so
Billy, when did
you don't like movies either, Kelly, or reading books? I bet you're not a good book reader or a movie watcher because the attention span.
I'm a great movie watcher. I'm not a great book reader. I learn other ways. You know what I'm saying? But I do read books. Something that I'm interested in. If you had an autobiography out or something like that, I would pass.
Yeah, you'd surely read that. But Billy told me, he said, you know, Tone, the thing about Kelly, you gotta understand, when we first started, you know, doing business together, he said the thing about Kelly, you gotta understand is not a lot of attention span there.
Billy, what made you tell him that?
I did not say that. But I do have a question for Tony, or more of a persuasion here. I think you need to apologize to Notre Dame fans, Tony.
No, do not. Tony.
They beat the SEC champion.
Is Notre Dame, they're set up to maybe win the tournament. You want to hear a crazy thing, guys? Think about this. Texas wins, Notre Dame wins this next round. Texas faces the quarterback that's starting there next year. Quinn Ewers has already agreed to a $5 million deal.
I've heard rumors about that.
Between 5 and 6. No, that's a fact. It is a fact. As a fact with my hand up. I'm telling you right now, he's going there. And I'll tell you why he's going there, because people around the SEC on various staffs know he's going there. It's the worst kept secret in the world to Notre Dame. Quinn Ewers will be at Notre Dame next year.
Well, hold on a second. Wait a minute. If you knew that, why weren't you telling us that? I'm not saying
I knew that. I've heard that.
Okay.
Like, you know how 2020, think about how 2025 that is. It's like Kelly talks about. You talk about a silly sport that's going to burn people out. I'm playing for a national championship, and across from me is next year's starting quarterback. And it's a worst kept secret in the world, George.
Wow.
It'll get out that week, too. If those two teams play each other, somebody will dig that up, and it'll get out that week. That's where we are.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question that a listener has asked.
Yeah.
Ask Tony if he sees Boo Carter being incorporated into the offense next year, and if so, how much?
He has to be. Boo Carter would have gone into the transfer portal if they didn't promise him, hey, you're getting a role. The backstory is that Boo Carter became involved with Colorado. Deion Sanders went to him and said, hey, look, him and his family, hey, look, we could turn you into the next Travis Hunter. We think you're that dynamic. Tennessee had to belly up to the bar. George, I don't know why in the transfer portal era, where I'm paying these guys big money, why I don't use more of these guys going both ways. Now, Kelly can speak to that if he wants to. You can't convince me that a world-class defensive back couldn't help you at wide receiver on a few plays, or a guy like him that's a great kick returner. You can't run a few plays in practice in your in preseason and work that into your book where you run a little sweep to a guy, or you fake a sweep to him even. You just have him out there maybe as a decoy. But you bring him in motion, the defense kind of sees him and commits, and he's a dynamic. Because this Boo Carter guy, when he gets the ball in his hands, is a dynamic, potentially game-changing football player. So, yeah, you will see him on offense. You'll see him at wide receiver this year.
Who went after Nico at the end of the year?
Miami.
That's it?
Tennessee learned on the 24th of December that because they started calling people within their roster, including Gaston Moore, who had just gone to the portal. Hey, hang on, we might need you back. Wow. They knew Miami was involved with him. Yeah, lots happened since we talked, guys.
My goodness!
And I'll tell you what, I give Tennessee a lot of credit because my belief is Nico's family went to them and said, we want more money, and they said no.
Oh wow,
we have a deal with you.
Good for him.
What do you think the deal is right now for Nico at Tennessee?
He's playing here next year.
No, I mean monetarily.
Oh, I think he's going to make about $2.5 million, something like that.
Nice.
Wow.
But again, Billy's team is going to pay $5 or $6 million for Quinn Ewers. That's the kind of money that's being thrown around.
Well, did you hear that the conferences are getting $12 million? Since Notre Dame isn't in a conference, they get all $12 million to themselves.
They get all the money. That's right.
Okay, tonight.
Yeah.
Does Tennessee win at Florida?
Boy, I don't know, George. That'd be their best win of the year. They opened as a 1.5-point favorite. The game went 2.5 points the other way. That's 4-point slide in a line. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Florida's got the best backcourt in America. Tennessee defends really well. Florida's very good. They cracked 100 up there on the road in Lexington. It's a sold-out gym tonight. Now, their students aren't completely back, but enough of them are back that it's going to be very hostile there. I found out was source of mine. Let me see if I can share it with you. The officiating crew includes Ron Groover, who's done some Final Fours, and Doug Schals. Doug Schals has been very, very good to Tennessee. Groover, it's been interesting. The whistle he's given Rick Barnes in the past, it hasn't been the greatest thing in the world. I've got a guy in my orb, George, that tracks that stuff. We call him Refalytics Judd. He's developed. He follows the referees. I'm kidding. I kid you not. Refalytics is it's his baby. Yeah. And so it's one of the things we track on our post game Garza Law 5th quarter fan reaction, which follows as soon as the game's over tonight. We'll be on the air talking about it.
Okay, stop there and say it again.
tclub.team.
Yeah, if people who love hearing you in Middle Tennessee want to hear your show tonight as well, go.
tclub.team is where you find us. And I want everybody to know this right now on the way out, tclub.team. I absolutely love Kelly Holcomb.
How about Kelly's attention span?
And we have a lot of fun with each other. And earlier today, he called me Tone, which did something for me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Antonio.
It's even better. That did a little more for me.
Yeah.
But you guys are terrific.
So are you. Thank you as always for doing this.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's great to hear both your voices.
Oh, same here. Happy New Year to you and everybody up there. Okay, after the break, more on the firing of Rand Carthon. We will take your phone calls at 4:20. Make a note of that. to jump in early. And by the way, we appreciate all the phone calls we've been getting. This is 94.9 The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Get this turned around, and we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, let's get back to what is obviously the top story in our area, and that is the Titans firing the GM, Rand Carthon. And let me say up front that I had no confidence with them having the number 1 pick that he was going to be able to leverage this the way this franchise desperately needs it. But at the same time, it also continues to make Amy Adams Strunk look like she has no clue what the hell's going on. So let me ask you all this. She's got to know. She reads this stuff. She knows that people are ripping her and saying, this thing's dysfunctional. It's, it's press release city. We never know anything about what you're really thinking. Kelly, if you were going to give her a piece of advice to get her on a better path, what would it be?
Well, I think you asked Terry a great question about who is in her ear, because obviously the people that are in her ear are not true football people. I think she needs to go to true football people that actually know what they're doing. And I always go back to this, George. It's amazing. I was kind of in the same situation. And this organization right now is a dumpster fire too. It's the Cleveland Browns. I love them. That's where people know me from. But you look at their used to be bitter rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers have had 3 coaches since 1970. Like, where does that come from? Like, somebody in there knows football. Somebody understands. And Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season, George. And he drafted Kenny Pickett, and he understood that Kenny Pickett was not the guy. And how quick was that decision made? He made that decision, and he moved on, and he went out and got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And now they're in the playoffs again. Now they're probably not going to go past the first round, but still, they finished the year 10-7, I think. So I just look at an organization like that, and I look at something like this, and from the glory days when they first came here, George, and when you started your career and you had all them guys, and I was playing those guys, it was a tough deal when you played the Tennessee Titans, and it all started from the late great Steve McNair. And just think about this, George. Who's been the quarterback since Steve McNair? Like, they haven't had one. Like, they thought it was Marcus Mariota. He didn't turn out to be that guy. Jake Locker, he didn't turn. Like, Tannehill did a few things, but like, somebody has got to figure out, and that's what I would tell her. You have got to get some people that know the game of football and that can look at these kids and go around the country and recruit and scout these kids and know what a true player is, and they better find out what a true quarterback is, because they hadn't had one since Steve McNair.
It feels like, and this is unfair what I'm going to say, but her new flavor of the month appears to be this guy, Chad Brinker. Okay. I wouldn't know Chad Brinker if he walked in the Ford Ice Center here in Bellevue where we're doing our show. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know things. He has a Green Bay background. Hopefully that's good. But this whole organization seems to be kind of a flavor of the month club. Vrabel was it for a while. Before that, it was John Robinson.
Malarkey.
Before that, it was Malarkey. And you look around, and this team, this organization, feels like a lot of Malarkey.
And
not
George,
Mike Malarkey, but
yeah. And George, here's another thing too, and people don't understand this, but some owners, they talk a good game and they say all the right things in press conferences and do all that. But when it really boils down to it, it's a business to them. And they're going to tell the fans that they want to win, but their whole deal is a bottom line. Are they making money? And I've been around owners like that. And there's some owners that want to win football games, and they're the ones that win. But there's some that this is a business. They talk a good game, and I'm not sure that that's what she is, and I'm not sure that that's what this is. But it's certainly not getting any better, and it hadn't gotten any better. And I don't know if it's going to get any better anytime soon, George. That's just the question that I have.
Guys, it feels to me, and we'll go to the break here in a minute, it feels to me like she or somebody is going to have to start getting some things right.
Yeah.
Because this thing is becoming one of the 3 or 4 biggest laughing stocks in the National Football League. I did a list. We will run a graphic tomorrow that will look like War and Peace. I mean, it's scary. Listen to this. Came on as controlling owner in 2015. Fires coach Ken Wisenhunt in 15. Hires Malarkey as the full-time coach. Hires John Robinson as GM. In 18, she fires Malarkey. She hires Mike Vrabel. In 2022, she fires John Robinson. In 23, this is maybe semantics because it's late in the game and then early in the season. 23, she hires Carthon, who then, about a week after his press conference, went into a permanent witness protection program. In 24, she fired Mike Vrabel. In 24, they also hired Brian Callahan. And now today they fire Rand Carthon. The amazing thing is they were able to find him.
George, you're killing me with that.
I know I'm being ugly and I'm not being very professional, but pretty soon they're going to have to start getting some things right because this is embarrassing.
Yep, I agree. Get around people that know the game of football and have been around it for a long time.
When we come back, first it'll be stat of the day, which we're not likely to get. Then Spencer Holbrook will join us to talk Ohio State, Texas, Friday night in Big D. Doesn't feel like a neutral site, does it? And then at 4:20 to your phone calls. So jump in, be ready at 4:20 to hit the phones. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
O'clock. Join Tim Thompson and me for the call with pregame starting at 7:30.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike. I just don't understand why the Bears fans don't get it. Sometimes it's not about the home run hire, it's just about the base hit. When it comes to your head coach, just go for the base hit. Go for somebody that you know can do the job. Mike McCarthy is a proven winner across multiple franchises, being in high-profile gigs and knowing how to get the best out of the quarterbacks while they were there. Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
We need to rebrand rest in 2025. We live in a rise and grind society, and when we chill, we say things like we're lazy and it's bed rot. In 2025, we're cocooning, aka we're taking a page out of the old Caterpillar's book. We're going to intentionally rest so we can emerge our best selves and let those beautiful butterflies fly.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're talking Ohio State and Texas coming up with Spencer Holbrook from the Letterman Row. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going SEC hoops. Tennessee and Vandy in action tonight. The Vols are looking to dominate the SEC this year. When was the last time Tennessee won the SEC tournament?
Well, I'll give you a little history lesson.
George knows this one nice.
No, I do. No, I'm not sure I do. The last time when the SEC reinstated the SEC basketball tournament in 1979, Tennessee won it that year under Don DeVoe. Since then, they have won. Something tells me, Kelly, did they not win it 3 years ago?
I thought so. I thought it was sooner than that. I thought it was, George. I don't know the exact year, but it seems like they won it a couple of years ago.
Billy, make us look good. Reveal something close.
2022.
In Nashville.
That was in Nashville, I think, yeah.
So
nice.
Help me. They beat Kentucky in the semifinals.
I don't know for sure that was actually in Nashville.
Okay, well, here comes.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, Billy.
Quick research.
That was in Tampa.
In Tampa.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. We done?
Yep.
Officially, we are into the 4:00 hour. We welcome all of you to our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. George Plaster, Kelly Holcomb, Billy Derrick. And now we head up to Columbus, Ohio, and say hello to Spencer Holbrook, who covers the Ohio State Buckeyes for Letterman Rose. Spencer, these are fun times, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a lot more fun than the end of November was, I'll tell you that much.
So, okay, give us sort of your theory. They lay this gigantic egg that nobody understands against Michigan. They listen to 10 to 14 days of brutal stuff, and then they come out snorting against Tennessee. What were those 10 to 14 days like, and what do you think turned the corner for them?
Well, I think there was a lot of time spent like in the bunker and just mapping out how this is going to work. We don't know a lot because we weren't allowed around the team a lot, but we do know there was a players meeting that also featured Ryan Day, where they just laid it all out there, what needed to change, what the expectations were for the playoff, what they could still accomplish as a team. That's been referenced quite a bit here the last couple of weeks after the Tennessee game, and especially this week after the Oregon game. Like, that players meeting was the catalyst for what we've seen on the field the last two games. And there's been some offensive identity shifts away from like some zone stuff into some gap stuff. And I know it doesn't make for the best radio, but that's been a big change there. But overall, the mindset, I think that players meeting is kind of what spurred this entire thing on. They understood that they were the most talented team in the country. It was just putting it together. And they didn't put it together on November 30th in maybe the most dramatic fashion in the history of the program. But they've certainly put it together the last two games, and they're expecting to do it again against Texas.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting way more big chunk plays because of whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they've decided that they have better players than everyone else, and they're going to exploit that. I mean, they weren't doing that throughout most of the year, and whether that was trying to establish the run or whether that was trying to prove some points or distribute the ball around, whatever it was, it worked 10 times. It didn't work two times in the regular season, and really it only didn't work once because they really played well against Oregon. They just didn't win the game because they slipped up in a few key areas. But what they've done the last two games is really just they've found Jeremiah Smith and gotten him the ball, and he's the best wide receiver in college football since, in a long time. I don't know if we need to do the since thing, but he's one of the best receivers I've ever seen, and I've seen quite a few of them come through Ohio State. They've decided that Emeka Egbuka is also really good at his job, and then they use the pass to set up the run, and they were using the run to set up the pass earlier in the year. And everything they're doing right now is clicking, and this defense has been really good all year, but it's especially been good the last few games, and you can't say enough about what they're doing right now.
So I want to ask a couple of things that you probably wouldn't have thought I would go at, but the playoff is very intriguing to me. In Ohio State's case, it's trying to win 4 games in about 4.5 weeks. It looked like they brought damn near half of Ohio to the Rose Bowl. That's an expensive trip. When they go to Texas, is it a considerably smaller crowd, or is their base that big?
The base is that big. Dallas has one of the largest Ohio State alumni networks in the world. And that might be weird to think about, but Ohio State is the largest alumni base in general. in the world. So then you think about the major cities. Los Angeles has a ton of Buckeyes. Dallas has a ton of Buckeyes. There's a lot of people who went out there and spent that money, like you said. And there are people who will spend the money to go to every one of these games from the state of Ohio. But there are a ton of Ohio State alums and Ohio State fans in the DFW area. And, the snow and the ice that's coming to Dallas, I don't think that's going to deter them from trying to get to the stadium. I think there's going to be a lot more Ohio State fans than people realize in that stadium. I still think it'll be a pro-Texas crowd, but, there are some fan bases where, they would say, hey, we'll go to the Rose Bowl and then we'll skip the next one. It's more of just there are a certain section of people who go to the Rose Bowl. There are a certain section of people who go to the Cotton Bowl. And then I think if they win this one, everyone will make their way down 75 to go to Atlanta for the title game.
And when it comes to fan bases having money, Texas obviously does. But like you said, don't forget about Ohio State. I mean, they will travel.
Yeah, it's a lot of money there.
So here's the other one I want to ask, and it's probably another one you wouldn't have thought when you knew you were going to come on a show in Nashville. So college athletes are not used to this 15, 16 game schedule. What level of fatigue do you think they're suffering through?
Well, it's been great for them that they've had these two blowouts because the best players didn't play that much against Tennessee, and they really didn't play all that much against Oregon. I look at Jeremiah Smith. I think he played 35 snaps against Oregon. He just really made them count there in the Rose Bowl. And you would have thought he played 70 the way the stat sheet looks, but they didn't really play all that much. The defense did. And I think that's one thing that I am curious about is how they handle all of these snaps. But they didn't play that much against Tennessee. And before that, they had 21 days off. And they had 2 bye weeks when normally you would have 1 in a college football season. This season there were 2. So they made sure to rotate a lot. Ryan Day talked as early as July and June about making sure that they had the proper depth and rolling guys through in the regular season to be ready for 15 and 16 games. This is a coaching staff that has a lot of NFL experience. Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, chief among them. Like, they know the rigors of a 16-game regular season, and they know what it's like to try to get to be remaining healthy going into the postseason. They did a decent job of that through the regular season. And I think you're starting to see it pay off because these guys just continue to look fresh. I think about Quinshon Judkins, who had 270 carries in each of his 2 years at Ole Miss. He entered the college football playoff with 125 carries. Like, he's never felt this fresh. Even if he's getting 20 carries a game, he's never felt this fresh this late into January. So, that's just one key example, but it is a good example of a guy who is really fresh, and in other seasons he just wasn't. And I think they've done a really good job of managing that, knowing that they were probably going to get to this point with the talent that they had.
Spencer Holbrook has joined us from Letterman Row to talk Ohio State football. Kelly, what do you got for him?
Spencer, hey, you guys are still playing. And with the way that college football is now, the transfer portal and all that's coming around, how are they how are they managing that? I mean, are they still having recruits come in during the week? I mean, this thing is huge, but like, how are teams managing that, especially Ohio State?
Yeah, well, so coaches are allowed on the road right now to go see like high school recruits, and so they sent some of the recruiting staff out this week down to North Carolina. I think there was some down in Florida to go scout some guys and throw out some offers because the assistant coaches can't get out right now the way that other schools can have their assistants out, which is a great problem to have, but it's certainly a problem. So you've got to continue to stay on that. They've landed some guys from the transfer portal. They hosted guys up until right before that Tennessee game. Now it's a dead period in the transfer portal. When that thing opens back up here in a few days, I know that they're going to be hosting some more transfer portal guys, but it never stops. And, that's why these college football coaches are CEOs more than they are coaches now, because they've got to have their hand in every cookie jar imaginable. And they're doing a pretty good job right now of balancing everything. But to be honest with you guys, like, it's brand new for everybody. This 12-team playoff going into the end of January, if it were up to everybody involved, I think they would probably all rather the season be done and the playoff be over by now so they can get on with building the roster for 2025. But that's not the reality. They were given a calendar. And they're kind of making chicken salad right now because, they don't really know how it's working either. Like, they've never been this far. I think the latest national championship game we've ever had is in January 12th. So it's a full week after that. And so that pushes everything back a week in your calendar. They're just trying to make do with what they've got right now. And I think that all 4 of these teams remaining are kind of, just going with it because they don't really know. There's no reference point here in college football to deal with these things this late into the season.
So what kind of tweaks? I just asked somebody earlier on the show. What kind of tweaks do you think they'll make to this thing? I'm with you because right now you're obviously involved. You're an Ohio State guy. I used to live in Ohio. I know how big Ohio State is up there. I understand that. But what kind of tweaks do you think they'll make? And do you think they may think about starting the season earlier so they can get finished sooner in years to come?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that. I mean, I don't get paid enough for them to ask me my opinion, but I do. What I would do is I would go 10 conference games across the board for everybody. Sorry, SEC, you got to play 10 conference games too. 2 non-conference games, eliminate conference championships, start the postseason at the beginning of December, run it in the national championship games on January 1st at the Rose Bowl. You're done on New Year's Day. Everybody gets to go in the transfer portal for a week after that. Then classes resume for colleges the second week of January. And you can start your new semester. You don't have to worry about enrollment for anybody. You don't have to worry about, going into this semester and worrying about guys getting into their new schools from the transfer portal after that. That's the calendar I would like. But if we know that makes sense, then that's what college football won't do. Because there's one thing college football is good at doing, it's not doing what everybody thinks they should do. So we'll see. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would make the national championship on January 1st at 5:00 in the Rose Bowl, and everything else comes before that.
Spencer for commissioner.
That's what I was about to say. You need to either be commissioner or an AD because you make more sense than most of them there, Spencer. I promise.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's willing to give me that job, I maybe I'll take it, but I don't want my boss to hear that. And I know they're based in Nashville, so they might be listening. But yeah, I mean, it's
wow.
It's it's one of those things where it just makes too much sense. Everybody believes the Rose Bowl is the greatest venue in college sports. I was just out there last week. It's wonderful. Play the national championship game there. They don't want to move it off of January 1st. These conference championship games are just money grabs. You're going to make more money if you add more playoff games anyway. You're going to make more money from ESPN, the SEC if you add a 10th conference game. So all of this makes more money for them, makes more sense for everybody involved, and gives you an out to get that transfer portal to where guys still have the agency and can move around and everything, but they don't have to worry about the classes starting back up and then not getting into their new school in time for the new year. It all makes that calendar makes too much sense to me, which is why, again, I know that they won't do it in Indianapolis because they don't do anything that makes sense.
So this is my last question. I played with Marvin Harrison Sr. a long time ago. It was a long, long time ago, as you can see by my gray hair. But you just said Jeremiah Smith's unbelievable. He is a freak of nature. I think, is he 6'4"? Is that what he is? 6'4"? I know he's 220, something like that. But better than Marvin Harrison Jr., you think, at this point?
At this point, as a freshman, absolutely. There's no question. I don't think there's any question at all. Jeremiah has 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr. had one game in his freshman year where he went off. It was in that Rose Bowl. He had 3 touchdowns, of course, but he wasn't doing things to this level of competition that Jeremiah is. Jeremiah is the most polished receiver I've ever seen come through Ohio State. I mean, I'm talking Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson.
Wow.
You look at Jackson Smith and Jigba, and the things he did in the slot were really special. Marvin Harrison Jr., by the end of his career, by the end of his Ohio State career, is probably where I would put Jeremiah Smith right now. I think if Jeremiah Smith came out, and I heard some people talking about this on some bigger programs, that if Jeremiah Smith came out right now, he'd be the number 1 overall pick. I believe there will be teams that will tank in 2027 to get Jeremiah Smith. He's that good. I mean, if you get 5 years of control over that guy and on a rookie contract, it's going to be like having your franchise quarterback. He's that level of athlete. And Brian Hartline's the best receiver developer in the country. He's working with the best clay imaginable, and he just has to mold that for the next couple of years. It is scary to think of how good Jeremiah Smith can be, because what he's doing to some of these really good corners, like Gerard McCoy from Tennessee, is a first-team All-SEC corner, and he looked pedestrian against Jeremiah Smith. And you don't want to dismiss the guy like that, because I think Gerard's a really good player, but it wasn't a fair fight. And that's a true freshman who's just going to keep getting better. Jeremiah is unreal. I can't say enough good things about him.
Okay.
Well, hold on one thing, George. I like when he said they went from a zone scheme to a gap scheme. George has no clue what you're talking about there, Spencer, so it's okay.
Wow, that's lovely. Okay. But here's where Kelly, we drop the bomb question.
Okay. Drop it.
This is why you've got me here. Spencer, if Tennessee had beaten Ohio State, what happens to Ryan Day?
Yeah, that's a world I'm glad I didn't have to live in, because that would have wrecked my Christmas. I think there would have been some really, really tough conversations, some real rallying the troops as far as the boosters and things are concerned, to see what the deal is, where the money is. At that point, you probably have to ask yourself if it, that's a lot of money. It was going to be north of $100 million when you factor in buyouts for assistants and paying a new staff and paying a new roster. That is a very, very large decision to make, a 9-figure decision you were going to have to make. So the appetite from the boosters, from what I was told, was to keep him at that point. But of course, in the aftermath of a loss like that, I think the tenor would have changed quite a bit, especially depending on how that game looked. We'll never know, because of the level that they beat Tennessee, and especially the level they beat Oregon. I think no matter what happens from now, as long as Ryan wants to be, he's going to be back in Columbus. Especially if they win a national championship, I think they'll lock him up long term, even more so than he already is, because he'll be one of, I think, 2 or 3 active coaches to have a national championship. So, we'll never know that, but I do think that from what I understood, the appetite was still to give him another year. But of course, we don't really know if that was the true appetite, because they didn't lose to Tennessee. And if they would have lost to Tennessee, maybe the people with all of that money in Columbus would have changed their tune pretty quickly.
Spencer, great stuff. Thank you for taking the time to come on with us.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Spencer Holbrook covers the Ohio State Buckeyes for Letterman Row. Okay, tomorrow on this very show, we will have the dreaded Titans State of the Union with Kelly Holcomb, former Titans wide receiver Derek Mason, Terry McCormick. Now we will go to the break, and I want to get your reactions to what went on today in Titanland, formerly known as the Hindenburg. Our phone number.
It's like crazy land.
It's
Titan crazy land.
It's a loony bin. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. A lot of you got in yesterday, but some of you got in a little bit late on the phone. So I want you to jump in on the phone now. Or, Billy, what other way can they communicate?
Chat room is open. We've got some so far. Obviously, a lot of Titan stuff going on. We've got an interesting rumor from somebody already, so we'll get to that. But YouTube, to the right of the screen, you can type it in right there in the chat room. You can also swipe up on Facebook and Twitter as well if you want to do it that way.
Okay. Hit the phones now. This is 94.9, The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us, because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancos Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. And choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
Hey, it's Jake Lyman. Vandy women's basketball is on the road for the first time in SEC play, facing Ole Miss in Oxford on Thursday night. I'll have the call pregame at 6:15.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. I know a lot of you want to get in, and let me also say how much we appreciate the support we've been getting from you all. I'll ask today, everybody, try and keep it as succinct as you can. Let's get to it, and let's start with Tony in Nolensville. Tony, you are on 94.9 The Fan.
Hello, George. Glad to lead the show off with your callers. Two quick things, and I'll get off here because I know you've got a lot to get to. Number one, after watching the FCS championship game last night, guys, tell you what, Nashville's got a lot of big shoes to fill to create that same type of atmosphere that took place in Frisco, Texas.
That was a terrific game.
North Dakota State fans will travel, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That is true, and it's going to be exciting to see, but that was exciting last night. Now, about this Rand Carthon thing, guys, remember his big word when he came in, Kelly, was collaboration. Everybody had to collaboration. I heard collaboration about 25 times that day he was hired, and apparently Amy and him did not collaborate enough to for him to keep his job. I'm glad, like you said, George, I called a couple of weeks ago and said, where was Rand Carthon? And I'm glad they found him to let him know it was time for him to pack his bags. And I keep going back to it, guys. I know I'm just a fan. I'm just old Tony and Nolan. But I'll never understand drafting a high caliber right tackle that was All-American at Alabama. Well, first at Northwestern, Skoronski. He was a left tackle, and they made him a left guard because he had alligator arms, they say. And then you took and drafted Latham, a right tackle, at Alabama, and made him a left tackle. You bring in Daddy Callahan, who's supposed to be a guru in fixing an offensive line, and I have yet to see that offensive line be fixed yet. It's been an ongoing problem for about 5 or 6 years now, and I think it's still a continuous problem. They need to look at a lot of that stuff also. Guys, I'm going to let y'all talk about it. I'm going to get off here, and thanks for taking my call, George. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. It'll leave a line open at 615-553-0933 if you so desire. Kelly, go.
I have to agree with Tony. I don't know. I think they need to go after a left tackle, and I think they need to put J.C. Latham back on the right side where he's comfortable with. Skoronski, I understand that. I get it, but I don't really buy into everybody buys into these measurables, George. I just go back and I always bring up Coach Donnelly. Players come in all shapes and sizes, son. You got to go find them. And I don't care how long his arm. I don't give a can he play or can he play? And Skoronski was always a tackle. I understand moving guys. I get it. The more you can do, the better off you are in this league. But, like, Tony's got a good point. I've never thought about that. They mixing and matching and doing all that. Just pick somebody that you want and put him at the proper spot. And they've got to get an O-line because the O-lines in this league win. That's why Tom Brady was able to do what he did, and they could put people in. They had Gronkowski, they had Randy Moss for a year, but they had a solid offensive line every year that got coached up, and that's why they did the things they did.
Eric in Nashville, you are next. Thank you.
Hey, George, let me say this first of all. I'm not happy about it. I was not one of these people calling for him to be fired because my point is if you're going to fire him, then you should fire everybody. Everybody is involved. And while I would not have been happy with that, at least you're cleaning house. I just think you're basically handcuffing Brian Callahan as a coach. This is going to be our third GM in 4 years. And the thing is, I know a lot of people want Will Levis gone. I don't think he should be named the starter, but I think you've got to bring him back and make him maybe compete for the job. Probably with a veteran instead of draft a quarterback, because how's a rookie quarterback going to succeed with a coach that could be under the gun next year, especially with the offensive line the way it is? You're talking about minimum. He's got to win at least 6 games, double his win total. But can he do that? I don't know. And then you're probably looking at him being fired. It makes no sense to me. And as a Titans fan, I'm just really, really distressed. This makes me think, what in the world is this organization doing? I know a lot of people want to change. Well, you got what you wanted by tanking for the draft pick, or at least want them to lose, which they did. I mean, how much better does this really make us? I just think we're just going to be in the wilderness continually. And as a fan, it just leaves me frustrated. George, I'll get off and let you get some other callers. Take care.
Okay. Good phone call. Thank you, Eric. Okay, Kelly, let's start with you. Obviously, we're going to get knee deep into quarterback tomorrow during the State of the Union. What do you do with Will Levis if you're running that place?
Well, he's still under contract, but I think what Brian Callahan said supposedly in his exit meeting has got to go on. He's got to get better. He knows he's got to get better. He can't turn the ball over. He's got to get in the film room. He's got to watch film. He's got to look at all the things that he did wrong. You look at things you do good, but you also got to look at your weaknesses, and you got to fix your weaknesses. And I'm not saying he can't do it, but they're going to have to bring somebody in because he's not the answer right now. And I told y'all earlier, I didn't think he was ever the answer. I'm not saying that he can't be a functional pro quarterback because that was his first year trying to start. He understands now the pressures and the rigors that go along with being a starting quarterback in the National Football League. He's got to get an offensive line to help, but he's got to get better, and he's got to quit turning the ball over. He is under contract, so I don't think he's going anywhere unless somebody wants to trade for him and something happens on draft day, but I can't see that happening, and you're not going to cut him. So somebody's going to come in here, and you're going to have to sign a free agent, or you're going to have to do something, and you're going to have to compete. And if you sign a free agent that's a Kirk Cousins, you know where that's going. Maybe you can bring a guy in like that. Tannehill was a veteran, but Kirk Cousins has been there kind of a long time, and he's been doing it at a high level for a long time, and maybe you get him to learn from him, and maybe you can make something out of it. But I don't see him being ever the guy, but they're not going to do anything with him this year, George.
So to me, I've compared him to Kenny Pickett, who the Steelers decided, okay, he's not it, traded him to Philly. You don't think that happens here?
I don't think that happens here. No, I don't. And Kenny Pickett still played a little bit, and he still wasn't – I don't think he was as bad as Will Levis played this year. Now, he was playing with a better team. Let's be honest about that. He was playing with a better team, and the Steelers have an organization that wins. They know how to win. So he was with a better organization, but I just don't think – I don't think they'll let him go, and I don't think anybody – do y'all think anybody would trade for him?
I mean, I think in the backup world –
in the backup world with some quarterback whisperer, that sees something in him. But what do you see in Will Levis?
A guy with a lot of arm talent who is a little bit of a spaz.
A spaz does not work in this league.
No, and he had every opportunity, multitude of opportunities this season to show that he has what it takes, and he never did.
Kenny the Mailman, you are up next, and thank you for waiting.
Oh, you're more than welcome, dear friends. How are y'all?
Good. Happy New Year to you.
And by the way, we're demanding no snow. I know George loves it, but there's a lot of us that have to get out in it. So
I'm
we
with
do
you.
not want it.
It's coming.
Oh, I'm actually with you. I don't want to drive in it.
I'm not too upset. Cochran didn't do a very good job, but the coaching staff has done a very poor job. And the worst job of all in the whole organization is the owner. And you can't do a dang thing about it. None of us can.
No.
How many people she brought in, signed, given an extension, which means you're doing great, and then turn around and fire them? No other business would run like that. It is unbelievable. She won't even get out and speak. I see the North Korean leaders more than her. And, George, this is a story for y'all. When the first year the Oilers were here, I had a dear family named the Levy's moved from Houston. So I met them. I said, hey, are y'all with the team? Are you moving up here to work with the team? And they looked at each other and just burst out laughing. They were in insurance business. And Mr. Levy told me, he goes, you're going to be sad the day they came to town. And it made me mad because, we were all happy. We got a team. We got this. We get that. He looked at me and said, Kent, now you just think about it. Why would somebody leave? What sports team would leave the fourth largest city in America? Couldn't make ends meet there. And at the time, Tennessee was 29th. He said, you're going to find out behind the scenes. There's a reason why we call them the Addams family. And then he sung like the little song to the Addams family. So they knew the history where we didn't. And until you change the chef, you're not going to get different meals. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
What a
no
call.
combo meals. No. I hate to admit this. That is a great phone call.
Yeah.
And it feels today like it's 100% accurate.
And he's right.
That's wild. He's right. He's at 100% right. 100%
But there's
right.
a lot of people that won't say that. A lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of them are in that building.
Right. But, okay, what has to happen? Is this somebody in her ear?
There's definitely somebody chirping in her ear. Now, do I have proof of this? No. But, hold on. But the leader in the clubhouse of the most recent chirping is Chad Brinker.
Yeah.
I mean, why
Who
is he
he?
safe?
Who is he?
He's a guy they brought in from Green Bay to prop up Iran.
Well, just because he's from Green Bay don't mean he knows football.
No, and look, I want to be fair. I don't know the guy. Like I said earlier, he could walk in here at the Ford Ice Center. I wouldn't know him. But you wonder how you fire one, but the other one, who's been involved in a lot of scouting for this team, is safe and suddenly is the new flavor of the month. I mean, look, I'm not the brightest guy, but this seems fairly obvious, does it not?
Yeah. Well, speaking of voices in her ear, Shaker, and whether this is true or not, came in here on YouTube. He said Bryce Wasserman, her son-in-law, and I checked the Titans website. He's the chief of staff, whatever that means. His experience, he played college lacrosse at Monmouth, and he also played professional lacrosse. There's no football, like you said earlier, Kelly. No, he's not a football guy. Now, I'm sure he might be a fan of the Titans, or there's some connection with the Titans. But I thought that's a good note there from Shaker.
I'll always go back to the Jerry Jones and the press conference he had with Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson said, hey, this guy thinks he knows more football than me, and he doesn't. That's the point. Like, you're an owner. Don't butt in. If you want to be an owner and you want to win, you cannot get involved in stuff like that. You have to allow the people that you've hired and trust the people that you've hired to make the decisions about football, because you really don't know anything about football. You don't know about blocking or tackling. You don't know about a zone scheme or a gap scheme or a passing concept or any. You need to let people that know football run football.
Last call before the break is Isaiah on, line 4. Isaiah, welcome.
Well, hello, George.
Howdy. Are you a new caller?
I've called once before.
Okay. Did you tell 10,000 of your closest friends about us?
I actually did.
Really?
Nice.
If you will, send me a list of them.
I'll try to get that to you. But what I was going to say is I was watching the podcast version yesterday because I missed it, and you were wanting to hear from fans that were at the game, and I was there, and I'll tell you the 12th man was in effect because that's about how many people were there.
Okay, truthfully, hold on here a minute. How many people do you truly believe physically were there?
Maybe 5,000.
Oh my gosh.
It looked very many at all.
Wow. Why were you
that
there?
That was bad.
CPA game versus BA at the start of the year than that Titans game.
Wow. Are you glad you went?
Very glad. Got on the Jumbotron a few times, had fun with my friends, but we've got the first pick, but it was a little disappointing to see.
Yeah. Yeah, this is certainly not the best of times. When I think back to 99 and the run to the Super Bowl and the level of pride in this city and, doing Monday night shows with Frank Wycheck, who was kind of a ringleader of the players getting out in the community. There was such a pride in having this team, and that has gone down the you-know-what.
And when Vrabel left, to me, it felt like that was our last hope of any sort of getting out into the community, especially from a coach, because we talked about Tannehill not being very active. When Vrabel left, felt like a lot of that left.
Yeah, I mean, look, right now the rest of the NFL is telling you what they thought of Vrabel.
And he's about to get the Patriots job.
Whether it was right or wrong, only time will tell on that. Isaiah, you still there?
I am still there.
Okay. Leave me with one thing. Are you surprised at what went down today?
I was a little bit. I thought they should have given – I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention as much, but I feel like when you pick up like a bunch of big-time wide receivers like that and can't do as much with it, something's gonna have to change.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 5,000.
Golly, that's not good for an NFL game. That's awful.
No. After the break, Frank and Smyrna will be our leadoff call, but I've got room for 2 or 3 more of you. I want you to jump in and give me your reaction to the news today at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. This is 94.9, The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Very somber.
Really. By the way, they're calling for significant accumulation of snow on Friday.
You like that, Kelly?
Welcome to winter.
I used to live in Buffalo. That's not significant amount of snowfall, I promise.
Significant for Nashville.
I mean, I understand that. But when you wake up in the morning one morning and there's 3 feet and you can't open your door, you're in a different place.
Don't be a Buffalo snob. I mean, really.
Everybody's going to go buy their milk, buy their eggs, buy their bread. The store's going to be out for what?
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that Kelly this still annoys him. He's acting like it's nothing.
First of all, let's see the Buffaloians handle 100-degree temperature and humidity.
It gets hot up there, George.
No,
it does.
not
humidity.
Like it does here.
Not like it does here, but it still gets hot now.
They get to 83 and
no, they'll get up to 90. They'll get up to 90.
I'm not buying it. Frank and Smyrna, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Thank you, guys. I'm honored to follow all of those previous callers. Well, those are legends in Nashville sports talk, so I'm an honor to follow those guys. And I must also say hello from Siesta Key, Florida. Current temperature 52.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about the snow.
Hold on, man. What's the temperature?
52.
Oh, so it's not exactly a heat wave.
You guys got up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly balmy here. It's
right.
I mean, it does get cold in Florida, ladies and gentlemen that are listening. I can vouch for that, but but look, regarding the Titans, I mean, good Lord, where do we start? What a circus! As a PSL holder and fan from day one, this has been nothing but a clown show, in my opinion, for 15 years. I mean, it's a revolving door of GMs and coaches. I mean, I can't stand the Pittsburgh Steelers, but one thing about them, at least they're consistent. They are a model of consistency, and all they do every year, it seems like, is win games and go to the postseason. Why in the name of heaven above we can't get this in Nashville is beyond me. I'm sick of it. And Kelly, I know what you're going to say. Huh? Haas, all they want is your money. Well, I believe you're right, Kelly. I mean, this fan here, I'm so disgusted. You know what I did last night? I want to see what a winner looks like and what a playoff team looks like. So me and some friends, we're going to the Buccaneers Commanders game in Tampa Sunday night.
Nice.
What a playoff game looks like.
Nice.
Even though it's only been 3 years since we hosted one in Nashville, I want to see what a winning team looks like. Just maybe if nothing else, go into the off season saying I saw a good football game. instead of what I saw in Nashville at Nissan Stadium for 7 home games. And it's just it's hard to be a Titan fan right now, guys. That's just all I got. To me, I don't also just until I think we get an ownership change, I'm not sure anything's ever going to change. That's what bothers me more than anything. Yeah, maybe you should get rid of everybody and start over. Maybe so. But at what point, nothing seems to change. So until Miss Amy either sells the team or just stays out of it and gets some football people in there, like Pat Sperduto, goodness, that would be a great hire. I don't believe the Titans are smart enough to have to even interview him. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong too.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong. I don't know Pat very well, but I do know him a little bit, and he would be perfect. I guarantee he'd know how to fix a lot of those problems.
Hey, let me run up.
That's where I'm at.
I got a bunch of people waiting. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's go Jack over in East Nashville. Jack, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
George, I wish I could say they were different, but I grew up around Houston in the 60s and 70s, and they've always been this way. 1 step forward and 3 steps back. The thing that's crazy to me,
I think we're having trouble with connection. Jack, are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's try it.
Okay. The only problem with all this is every time she fires some principal in the organization like this, it just starts things all over. Yeah.
Okay, I don't think we can make this work. Jack, if you will, do me a favor tomorrow, call back in. I'll get you back on when we do sort of the State of the Union. I think we got the gist of where he's going, which is it does feel like every time this happens, it's a start all over.
Yep. That's exactly what happens. The same thing with the quarterback position. Once you get rid of it, you got to start all over again. It's a never-ending cycle.
Tyler in Smyrna, welcome.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I had a couple questions about this upcoming draft. I think we have a lot of team needs right now, and it kind of feels like that with a lot of these drafts lately. But with the quarterback situation, I'm kind of torn because it's so bad. Do we take a quarterback this draft, or do we go after a veteran? But the notion behind
do you do both, like the Falcons did?
Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that idea at all because it's just really bad, and I don't think we should go after Sam Darnold though, because I think Sam Darnold is benefiting very much in a system that works for him. And I believe if we actually do go after Darnold, it will be the Jets 2.0 for him all over again. And in my opinion, I think we should go after an edge threat, maybe trade back a couple spots, get an edge threat in Abdul Carter, because the pressure rate we were doing this year was, I believe, in the bottom 3 in the NFL. And it made our secondary worse. I believe, you need pressure to increase your secondary, but I'm not surprised Rand Carthon is gone, but it's just, I'm at a loss for words with this franchise at this moment. There's a lot of frustrating components going into this team. And I'll hang up and listen.
I'm with it. I don't know what to say either.
Well, it does reach a point where you feel like you're on the Hindenburg. Kelly, it worked for the Falcons. Veteran, young guy, now the young guy takes over. Is that the route for the Titans?
Be the route for the Titans. Who knows? I'm not sure. I think that is a good scenario, and Atlanta was fortunate enough to get into that scenario last year. But is there a quarterback in this draft that you can build a franchise around? I see Billy shaking his head, and I say no. I mean, I don't know about Shedeur Sanders. Maybe Deion played for a long time. Deion was a great player, but that was Deion. That's not his son. His son's a quarterback, plays a different position. And I know Shedeur works. I really do. And I think he's a good player. I really do. But you talk about the game he had against BYU, and I told you when guys get hit like that, it changes them in a game. And I don't know. I just don't see a guy out there, and Terry's already talked about it. It's a weak quarterback class. I don't know if you do that. I just don't. I'm not sold on it.
Go.
You want a question? Or?
No, I'm going to take a last phone call.
Oh.
Bobby is on line 8. Bobby, are you a new caller?
I'm a new caller. I've been listening. Kelly, go Blue Raiders. Couple things.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Bobby, I want you to tell 10,000 of your closest friends that we're out there 3 to 5 p.m. every day on 94.9. 10,000 of your closest friends.
I got 4 friends. I'll tell them. All right, George, listen up. Here's the deal. We're in a bad situation. I can't afford these tickets. You drive in from Murfreesboro and you go there, you drive back. I can't afford it. And so it hurts, but we don't have anything to get excited about but a new stadium. I think we trade the pick. I think we get some picks and hope to get a quarterback 2 years from now. We're just going to have to suffer it. I hope we have a new owner by then. I hate to say that. I wish they would have given the GM a little bit more time, and I hope they give the coach a little bit more time. And that's it. I don't feel good about the Titans at all. I don't feel like we got anything going at all. There's no hope, and doesn't sound like we got a lot of money with all the money we spent, a lot of picks, and and Lord knows Kelly Holcomb can't be the quarterback, so I don't know what we're going to do.
Oh, that's a
I'm too
sobering
old,
thought.
Big Bobby. I'm too
thank
old,
you.
brother.
Thanks for the call.
All
So
right.
the first thing they need to do is get real about this gouging, telling people that for your 6 tickets, $95,000 in PSL money. Get a friggin' clue. Your product isn't worth a damn. How arrogant can you be to sit there with a straight face and make those young salespeople at Titan House spit out that kind of vomit? Yeah.
And then when you buy the PSL, you still have to buy your tickets.
It's unbelievable. I mean, how arrogant are they?
Hey, I don't want to go a la carte. Give me something with the meal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, throw in a cheesecake.
Seriously.
Titan
Okay.
House. All right, I got to
House.
get to this from George. George, tonight is the biggest game Vanderbilt basketball has had in several years. What are some of your biggest memorial memories? Were you at the infamous tennis ball game against Florida?
I was. I mooched 2 tickets off Coach Newton. I had just come back from Memphis State. I was asked 2 days later if I knew who threw the tennis ball because it came over my left shoulder. I told Coach Kramer, unless I have eyes in the back of my head, I do not know who threw it.
And for people that don't know, the tennis ball, what happened with that end?
Well, it probably cost Vandy the SEC title that year. That's what it got down
But
to.
a student,
And I don't believe,
a student threw a tennis ball.
Oh, no. I don't believe it was a student.
But somebody threw a
It
tennis
was not in the student section.
Somebody threw it at the Florida coach, though, right?
Well, threw it at Dwayne Shinsis.
Okay.
Big 7-foot center. I know we got to go to the break. I've got some winners coming up. Plaster Bet of the Day is next on 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Now they're getting exactly what you saw coming.
Mike Greenberg, Greeny.
Micah Parsons gets you a king's ransom. I'm old enough to remember the Herschel Walker trade. I was working in the media when it happened. And I remember people saying, I can't believe the Cowboys would trade him away. Oh, the Vikings will never lose again. And the Cowboys turned all of those picks into teams that won 3 championships in the next 6 years.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Tuesday, big night of SEC hoops. Tennessee is at Florida. Vanderbilt hosting Mississippi State tonight at 8 o'clock right here on 94.9 The Fan. We'll see where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. What happened to Montana State last night?
He lost that one last night.
So far behind.
I had a feeling that North Dakota State, they showed their coach's pregame speech. I was like, uh-oh. And he said, I'd want to be betting on North Dakota State. You know, and I had a feeling they were going to win that game.
I bet you did, Billy. You know, that was the 10th national championship for North Dakota State, and that only started in 2011 now. Can you believe that? Montana State hadn't won an FCS title since 1984, so 40 years. Crazy.
Both quarterbacks were good.
Paul Kuharski is reporting that the Titans have fired Vice President of Team Operations Brent Akers, Vice President of Football Technology Anthony Pastrana, Assistant GM Anthony Robinson, and Senior Director of Security John Albertson.
I saw a joke. Did the security person not let Will Levis in yesterday?
Anyway, where were we?
We were just talking about Montana.
You lost.
Yeah. Yes, I did. However, there's always today.
Also, still need to reset the record. So,
Billy, I thought we were starting over.
I know, but we start 2025 0-1.
Seems like an administrative error.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like a $100 fine to you. So we'll be going to eat somewhere on your dime, Hoss.
All right. Gotta go out to Smyrna.
Listen closely. Listen closely. Tonight is the biggest game at Memorial Gym since the Bryce Drew era. Because, let's be honest, under Jerry Stackhouse, they never played any games that really mattered.
Not in terms of it making the NCAA tournament.
This is a big night for Vandy. They are, according to Billy, the line has moved up to 3.5.
Yeah.
Whatever the case, I'm taking Vandy. I think that this will be a very enthusiastic crowd. It's an important night for them. They have gotten a lot done under Mark Byington, and I'm sold that this guy has a work ethic that's second to none. He took all that dead wood from a year ago and blasted it out in 6 weeks. Jerry, hope you're enjoying Golden State. Glad you are gone. Next, we're taking Kentucky. I don't know why this line is this small. Maybe this might be Vegas knows something I don't. I'm simply taking Kentucky minus the 1.5.
Kobe Brea is questionable.
Yeah, that could be an adjuster. Either way, I'm taking Kentucky. And then the big one in Gainesville. I'm taking Tennessee, although don't get me wrong. Tennessee could lose tonight. They absolutely could. But they could also lose and cover the +3. So I'm going Tennessee, Kentucky, and Vandy tonight. Tomorrow, Mike Organ early, and then a Titans State of the Union with Kelly Holcomb, with Terry McCormick, and with former Titans wide receiver Derek Mason. See you then on 94.9 The Fan.